Good morning. Breakfast with the broker every Tuesday at 9 a.m. We have a real treat for you guys this morning. So without further ado, and now, all the way from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, she's the owner and founder of DeBianchi Real Estate, one of the stars of Bravo's hit show, Million Dollar Listing Miami. She got her MBA at Nova Southeastern. She is truly a local gem, a wife, a soon-to-be mother, and a luxury rock star. She is such a star, she has two last names, Samantha DeBianchi La Viola.
Well, thank you. And I guess, yeah, I do.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I am good. How are you?
Very well. I know you're up in Pennsylvania,
Yeah.
and it's interesting because, well, I guess we'll start there. I mean, through this COVID and such, and whether you're non-essential or essential, Pennsylvania's hit pretty hard because they basically were non-essential for about 3 months. And have you tapped into the northeastern kind of influx into South Florida?
Yeah. So I actually have over 50% of my clients are from the Northeast. So I work a ton with clients, whether it's from New York, Pennsylvania, just all throughout. And, it's important to understand their market as well, because I think it's one thing if you hear it on the news or even if you talk to your clients, but sometimes when you're physically there and you can kind of see it and feel it on your own. I mean, that's what we do as professionals is, we kind of have to take in our own experiences of things and understand it in our own way. So that way, when someone's having a discussion about it, we have our own input and opinion.
Absolutely. And, let's talk a little bit about the Million Dollar Listing show, because, it's interesting. Did you, how did you go about it? How were you introduced to it?
So it's a very long story. I always, when I saw the show before I got my license, so I got my license in 2009, and I knew about the show just like everyone else. I saw it on Bravo. And I always said, if I'm going to be in real estate or when I'm in real estate, when I get my license, like go big or go home. And, I think being on television and having that visibility is just amazing for a career. So I really pushed. And as soon as I saw that they were coming into the area, they were, I think, going into a few different cities from Fort Lauderdale. Then there was some places in Hawaii, Atlanta. They didn't really know exactly where they were going to launch the next show outside of LA and New York. And, I submitted just like everyone else. And I initially was told no, I didn't have the sales, I didn't have the listings, I wasn't luxurious enough. Clearly, as you could see in the background, I'm sitting on a bed right now because I don't have an office of my own. So I'm very casual and low maintenance for the most part. And yeah, and then they told me no. And for whatever reason, when I hear no, this fire kind of fuels in me, and I put together a PowerPoint presentation as to why I should be on the show. And I stalked people. It's very similar to what I do now in business when I need to get a deal done. And yeah, and finally they thought my PowerPoint presentation was hysterical, and they didn't realize that it was, me selling myself. And I signed up, and that was that. The rest is history.
That's awesome. I mean, as far as a lesson to be learned, the most successful people in the world, when they do hear no, they have this uncomfortable feeling, but they power through to get to the comfortable side of it. And that's awesome. Any stories that you care to share while you were on Million Dollar Listing?
Well, I think there's a lot of stories. It's even a much longer story how I even got on, but I think the main point is people will always say, well, I'm not on $1 million listing. So how do I get that launch? And how do I, get that exposure? I'm not on television and whatever. And I don't think it matters if you're on television. I think if there's so many platforms now, whether it's Facebook Live or just a plain video, YouTube. Yesterday, I was watching the news and they were talking about TikTok, which I know nothing about, nor do I want to know anything about it. But, a lot of realtors are using TikTok. There's so many platforms to use that's not television. I mean, so many people are going off of, cable, and they're going onto internet. So, it's really important that no matter what you're doing, even an Instagram story, that you're just doing it. And so many times it's like, well, who's watching it and who's reading my posts? And if there's anything I can tell anyone, and teach anyone, it's that just keep doing it, keep posting, keep doing videos, keep putting yourself out there, because people are watching. Just because they're not commenting or engaging, I know that's the big word, that doesn't mean that they're not reading it, watching it, and paying attention.
Absolutely. And, so I have three girls, 15, 11, and 8. So I can tell you right now, I am TikToked out.
Yeah.
But I certainly know what TikTok is, because it's going on in my house about 24 hours a day,
Yeah.
sometimes 22 hours. But it's actually, and that's to the point of a real estate agent. You really need to embrace and adapt new technology and make it your own.
Yeah.
Very similar to, like you said, video and consistency and such like that. And,
Yeah.
Everyone has something to say. And, how do you come up with the content that you have with your video? And do you stay true to yourself? Is it, do you want to be someone else, or do you want to be yourself?
So it's funny, back years ago, I actually tried to work with a company to handle my social media, because it was, as you know, it tends to be a lot when you're working with your clients. You try to maintain your personal life, and then it's like, oh, I got to post, I got to do this, I got to do that. So there are companies out there that can help put together your social media plan and even post for you. And the problem that I saw was that, their idea of me and who I actually am were very different. And they were fantastic, but it didn't vibe with who I am. And so I took it off, and finally I said, you know what? The whole Richard Branson, screw it, just do it. Like, I just was like, I'm just going to be myself. And if people don't like it, they can unfollow me or unfriend me or not like it or not comment, whatever it is. And my social media engagement and likes and follows and everything just kind of boomed from there as soon as I was very real and very myself. So I post about, especially on Instagram, I'm very active, and my Facebook as well. But for the most part, Instagram, and I'm always telling a story, whether it's, a client that I fired. I talk about that, about how one post I showed a client over the course of, a year plus 100 homes. And then, I found out that he was cheating on me with another realtor, and how I fired him despite him still wanting to work with me. How I've turned down listings because of unrealistic sellers. And then there's positives about my sales, and, the story behind how, one house, for example, I used to own. And then when I sold it, I made money. And then that seller went to go sell it, and I brought the buyer back to that same house. And so it's just kind of, it's interesting how there's so many different stories that I'm able to tell and share and hopefully teach people. Another post, I talked about how, to really stay true and make those connections and network with other realtors. So I got a referral from a local realtor who just, he was still green. He didn't have a lot of experience under his belt just yet. So he referred me a $2 million listing. And, so many agents, I think, think, well, why would I network with the agent down the street? They're my competition, but not necessarily. And so many times you can work together. So I did a post about that. And, I think I try to, it's not only just teaching and helping other people. I think it's kind of like my own little storybook as well. If I sometimes I go back and I scroll on my Instagram, and I'm like, oh, like I remember that day, or that deal or that scenario. And it's kind of cool. It's like my own little diary, I guess. So it's neat.
So, I mean, that's really amazing from, that agent's perspective, who, is kind of green or whatever. He or she was new in the industry, or maybe hadn't taken some of the luxury listings, obviously, that you have.
Mhm.
And, when you think about big picture, partnering or getting mentored by someone like yourself who has done it and knows how to do it and could follow is going to be significantly more exposure, significantly more knowledge and experience than holding out for the 100% commission that you may not end up getting because you don't know how to market a $2 million listing.
Sure. I think it's not
Yeah.
just the fact that the agent didn't know what to do, but it's also showing kind of good faith to the seller or whoever is recommending or referring that seller. So let's say you say, Sam, I want you to sell my house, but I don't have enough experience. But I'll say, look, I don't think I'm the right girl, but let me refer you to someone that I'm confident in, and I'll make my, referral commission, which is great. And then you have kind of that another level of respect for me, because I'm not just saying, yeah, I'm going to take this on and try to figure it out. And you're my experiment or my project. I'm instead saying, you know what, I'm not there yet, but let me give you someone who is the right person. And I think, there's definitely respect that would come from you in that scenario.
Huge lesson in that. I mean, we talk about agents, doing residential and commercial and, luxury real estate and, small affordable condos or what have you, kind of stick to your lane because
Right.
a lot of times, people will come back to your lane. You've created a luxury lane. You've created a Fort Lauderdale luxury lane that people look up to you, respect you in the Fort Lauderdale market. So it's interesting. Great lesson there. How do you get into luxury real estate? Because that's the big question for agents that are new into the business, looking to really kind of maybe not necessarily get to $2 and $3 and $4 million listings, but looking to increase their average sale price. They're stuck in
Sure.
the 300 or 400,000.
So I think it's all, like is attracted to like. So, how are you going to meet the people that have the properties or are buying the properties in that price point? You need to be a part of their world. So, whether it's you're meeting them on the golf course, or you're meeting them, you're joining a tennis league, things that are naturally a little more associated with the luxury world. You need to be a part of that world. And you also need to be natural. You need to know what you're talking about. You need to know your numbers. You need to know your inventory. And I think no matter what price range you're focused on, knowing your inventory is everything. I mean, I've met with so many new agents that try to, pick my brain, and it's like, well, what's the biggest piece of advice that I can get from you, you can give me? And it's like, really know your inventory. And it's like, oh, I know everyone says that, but it's like everyone says that, but are you really listening? Are you actually going out to all of these projects? Are you familiar with all the neighborhoods? Do you understand what the price points are with these buildings and neighborhoods? Because the last thing you want to be is not educated in your own business and industry and profession. And if you go out, let's say, to a bar, and someone comes up to you and says, yeah, I'm thinking, what do you do? Oh, I'm in real estate. Oh, I think I might eventually want to sell my house. What do you think my house would be worth, or what are homes selling for in my neighborhood? And after I sell my house, I'm thinking of buying in a building in downtown Fort Lauderdale. What buildings do you like? And I can't tell you how many real estate agents I've met with that I ask a simple question of name 3 buildings in downtown Fort Lauderdale, and they can't name 3 buildings. And it's insane to me. Like, how do you not know the names of buildings? Like, this is all you're supposed to be doing. And I tell them immediately, you've missed out on that sale. You missed out on that client. You missed out on the opportunity. So there's always something to be doing, even when you're not busy, especially during these times. I recently, I started a blog at samdebianchi.com, and my last post was 10 things that I'm currently doing. And it talks about how even when you're not busy, because, during COVID, some people were still busy, some people were not. When you're a new agent, you're not necessarily immediately busy. So it's like, well, what do you do to be busy? And one of the biggest things was, really, you can virtually tour homes, buildings, new projects. and really take the time to educate yourself. So that's so important to do, and I can't stress that enough.
I love it. Be prepared for the opportunity. I had the pleasure of seeing Magic Johnson on stage several years back, and that was his biggest takeaway. Make sure that you're prepared for that opportunity,
Yeah.
know your product, know your audience, and make sure that again, stay in your lane. Because too often, I think people go outside their lane, and because they're going for the big catch or what have you, and when you stay in that lane, you really understand that market better, and you're doing a service to your seller rather than a disservice. And I think that's certainly important.
I think too, it's just don't stay in your lane, but also don't overextend yourself. Don't get into situations that you're not confident on. So, a great example is there's a listing appointment I took on, and I was confident about the listing, but I was confident it was not going to take 6 months. It was definitely going to take over 6 months to sell. Um, and I told them that in order for me to work with them, I would need a 12-month contract. And it's like, oh, 12 months. And I said, look, here's why. And I explained, the market with their specific type of property. The single family home market for us has been, or at least for me, has been insanely busy. But they are in more of a boutique condo. And I said, especially based on comps and what I'm seeing, the demand for boutique condos is not very strong. And I'm going to need a commitment from you longer than 6 months, because based on the history, it's taking longer than 6 months to sell. So I'm going to put in my time, my money, my energy, my experience. I'm going to, pay for all of this marketing and advertising. And then I don't want to come back around 5 months later and say, well, can I get my extension? And I want to just come at it with, the truth and be upfront from the start. And if I don't get that listing, that's okay, because I'd rather them give it to somebody else. And then, someone once told me you should be the firstborn, the second wife, and the third realtor. And they already had one. So they'll hire another person, and then I'll be the third realtor, and I'll get it done, and I'll make a nice commission. But I don't think,
That's it.
never be afraid to lose those opportunities either, because, they'll remember me as the honest realtor that gave it to them straight. And it gives me the ability to focus on sellers and clients and properties that I'm confident on, that I can sell in the time span that I give and the term that I give the listing agreement for.
Yeah, I love it. Buyers' behaviors. You must have read my mind on the next question, but buyer behaviors have changed. When we're looking at the condo market versus a single-family home market, a lot of people that were thinking condo are now kind of gearing or moving a little bit towards the single-family home market with the pool or near the water, or something about the lifestyle rather than just being in a condo building. Tell us a little bit about what you've been seeing, especially from the Northeast.
So I've been seeing, again, the single family home market on the buy side and the rent side has been extremely strong. I mean, I own a lot of property. I own 9 homes. So, and most of them were Airbnbs, and I had to quickly convert them to annual, which I was able to do not only quickly, but also for top dollar, which has been great. A lot of people that sold, especially in, second time home buyer market, millennial market, they would sell. And then they were kind of like, we don't really know where the market's going. Let's stay liquid. Let's rent even for 6 months or 12 months. And so the rental market was strong. But now more than ever, I'm seeing I have a ton of clients right now buying single family homes, also high rise condos, just not boutique condos. And I think the difference with high rise, because I live in a high rise right now, is yes, your amenities got shut down, but I can say now that things are reopened, I have the cleanest gym in town. It's not as convenient as, oh, hey, I can pop to the gym, but they have a whole system in place where you sign up. It's 10 people max that can be in the gym. You have an hour of time. After that hour, they have a cleaning crew come in, sanitize everything. then, the next 10 people. And there's never been a problem getting into the gym. There's never 10 people. I can go 3 hours a day if I wanted to. It's just in hour time slots. And I know that I'm in a safe environment where I'm not going to have a ton of people in this gym. It's going to be clean. There's peace of mind in that. And I think, there is value. So when people say, well, everyone's leaving condos, as a realtor, it is so important to always look at the full spectrum. You can't just jump the bandwagon and say, well, everyone's leaving, the big cities and doing this and doing that. And I was recently, I speak on Fox Business, Fox News, CNBC all the time. And one of my last segments was about how, everyone's leaving the big cities in New York City. And I'm like, I don't agree with that. People just don't up and leave and move to the suburbs. They adapt. And I think that that's the name of the game, is just adaptability and adapting to the new environment. And even as a realtor, just adjusting to the new normal, which, maybe we're doing more virtual tours or virtual open houses or whatever it is. And, but people don't just quit, their current lifestyle. They like to know their options. So I think, as realtors, it's really important to educate buyers on, okay, yes, your condo might shut down the pool and the grill and the gym, but here's the pro of when everything opens back up. You're in a really clean environment where your maintenance staff is constantly cleaning the building. Any guest that comes in, their temperatures are checked. Like, you're not doing that in a single family home. I'm not checking the temperatures of my friends that come in, through the door every time. So there's
Yeah,
pros and
maybe I
cons.
should.
Yeah, pros and cons with everything. And I think it's really important to always be unbiased and educated and explain all of this to clients, not just the one way.
I love it. Yeah. So, you're getting into marketing. When you're looking at marketing, can you give us one, I guess, either it's a CRM platform or an app that you use every day that you couldn't live without, that maybe people don't know of?
So I used to use Follow Up Boss as my CRM, but I actually created my own CRM, because I wasn't in love with any specific CRM. So I'm like, all right, well, my friend builds out websites and systems, and I bother him every day and he adjusts it. And now I can tell you everything about my clients, from, their favorite color, their pet's birthday. And I think that is the most important. I'm always updating my CRM because, you forget things and you forget, well, how did I meet that client? Who are my referral sources? When did they last buy? What was their last house or first house that they ever bought or sold with me? And I think, that is one of the most important things, is just getting as much information about your client as possible, and really staying as educated about your client and your database as possible.
How often do you stay in contact with your sphere or your past clients
All the
and
time.
referral sources?
If
Yeah.
there's one thing I definitely do, especially when I'm traveling, I'm always just like looking through my phone and thinking about,
Mhm.
okay, starting with A, and who have I not reached out to, just checking in. There's been so many times where I literally send a text message of, hey, just wanted to check in with you, see how you're doing. And that can just totally, translate into, oh, hey, how are you? By the way, how's the market? I'm thinking about buying. I'm thinking about selling. Are there any opportunities out there? And suddenly, you just saying hello turns into a deal. And it's as easy as that. But so many people, again, just don't put in the work. There's so many just
Yeah,
simple.
great. So, last question. I always ask, this is a off real estate topic, but what's your favorite either streaming Netflix show or series, and what are you currently watching?
Oh my goodness, there's so many. I mean, my husband and I love Ozarks.
Hmm.
Dead to Me is a good one. Uh, what am I currently watching? We've watched so many things. It's kind of sad at this point. It's more we're trying to figure out what's next. Um, Currently we've been watching a bunch of movies, but yeah, there's a lot of Netflix. I also love on Showtime Billions.
Oh,
Um,
that's great. Yeah.
Big Bobby Axelrod fan. And
Yeah.
yeah, so the list goes on.
Awesome. Samantha, I can't thank you enough for coming on. I think you gave some great value. Know your inventory, be prepared for that opportunity. Make sure that you contact your sphere all the time, and stay in your lane to a certain degree. And, very much appreciate it. You are a phenom in the real estate industry. We all look up to you and respect you, and certainly wishing you the best of success.
Well, thank you. Same to
You're
you.
welcome. Where can we follow you?
At Sam DeBianchi, Instagram, Facebook. I try to stay as active as possible.
And soon to be TikTok. Just kidding.
Yeah. I don't think that's ever going to happen.
This is being recorded, and a year from now, when you're on TikTok, I'm gonna remind you. Just kidding.
Yeah, you just like ping me and send me this. You say you did. I wonder if TikTok will still be around at that point.
Oh, I don't know. It's pretty huge now. It's crazy. So, Samantha, thanks again.
Yes.
Thank you very much for tuning in. Breakfast with the Broker every Tuesday at 9 a.m. Next week, I believe, what are we, the 16th? I think the 23rd, we have Mayor Scott Singer from the city of Boca. Come on, we're going to talk to him about the city and certain things that have been going on during the city of Boca. So we certainly appreciate Samantha. Take care. We'll see you next week. Have fun in Pennsylvania.
Thank you.
I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Bye.